Joining me in studio is Dr. James Njogu, who is the Secretary General and CEO, National Commission for UNESCO, a very important body mandated to steer that particular function on Friday here in the country. Daktari, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you very much.
Kwanza kabisa, allow me to ask you so that you can introduce yourself, your portfolio in Kiswahili. 3, 2, and go.
Thank you very much. As mentioned, James Njogu is my name. Katibu mkuu na mkurugenzi wa shirika la Kenya la UNESCO, Kenya National Commission for UNESCO.
Very well. You out of 10, I've given you 9.
Thank you very much. Yes, Kiswahili tuakielewa na Kiswahili tunataka kuiendeleza.
Yes.
Kama vilivyo waziri amesema. So katika hilo shirika tunahusika na mambo matano. Haya mambo matano ni programs, yani program 5.
Yes.
Naomba kujaribu kuongea Kiswahili na Kiingereza pamoja kwa ajili kulingana na Constitution of Kenya Article 7,
yes.
1 and 2. The 3 languages that are official is Kiswahili, English, and the Kenyan Sign Language. Na katika maruninga tunaona mkitafsiri kwa hizo lugha 3. Kwa hivyo tuwashukuru. Kwa hivyo Kenya National Commission for UNESCO tuna program 5. Ya kwanza ni ya elimu, that is education. Na ya pili ni natural science.
Yes.
Natural science kwa Kiswahili ni sayansi asilia. Inahusu mazingira, maji, jiolojia, fizikia, vitu kama hivyo. Ya tatu ni social and human sciences. Social and human sciences kwa Kiswahili ni sayansi ya kijamii.
I'm so sure my director didn't know that.
Yes. Very interesting. Many people don't know. And ni vizuri Kenya kujua, na wa Kenya hasa kujua tunafanya nini na majina ambayo tunatumia. Social and human sciences, sayansi ya kijamii. Sayansi ya kijamii inahusu mambo ya gender, jinsia, inahusu mambo ya age, mambo ya kurespect, inahusu youth, inahusu sports, mambo kama hayo. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni ya 4. Hiyo ni ya 3. Ya 4 ni culture. Tunahusika na mambo ya culture, and you know culture is a devolved function to the Constitution, and in fact Kiswahili falls under culture, sababu lugha inahusu utamaduni. Inahusu utamaduni. In fact it's an expression of a society, an expression of a community. So when you use the language, you are expressing your culture. So it is devolved. And in fact, it is being celebrated. Kiswahili World Day is celebrated literally by all the 47 counties. Of course, kuna zile zitakuwa juu na zingine labda chini. County number 1, kama vile Waziri Malonza amesema, Mombasa watasherehekea. Nairobi pia tunasherehekea. Najua Nakuru wanasherehekea. So various counties are celebrating this very wonderful day. And because it's a World Day, it is celebrated globally. Wacha nimalize kwanza kuhusu Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. Baada ya culture tuna communication and information. Communication ni kuhusu mawasiliano na habari. Na nyinyi watu wa stationi za TV, za radio, haya mambo ya communication and information, mawasiliano na habari ni muhimu, because what languages you use is very critical. Na tunataka kuweka mkaza zaidi that we use Swahili to promote Swahili. And this is why we are celebrating.
It's a very important day, Doctor, because when you look at the number of countries celebrating Kiswahili world over, it also put Kenya in a very vantage position globally. Having in mind that it was also spelled out in our constitution in 2020 constitution, English, Kiswahili and sign language. Tanzania still beats us. That's their mother tongue. But where does that leave Kenya globally?
Well, Kenya, we are very strong in Swahili.
Yes.
In fact, during the UNESCO General Conference in 2021, on 23rd November, when Kiswahili was listed and acknowledged as an international language, Tanzania put the proposal for the resolution. Kenya was supporting it very, very strongly. In fact, among other Eastern African countries, Kenya really supported this, and we were there, and we celebrated after that. And in fact, Tanzania last year celebrated it in Paris, and this time Kenya is the one leading the celebration at UNESCO headquarters in Paris. Balozi wetu katika the permanent mission he has organized a celebration which was promised last year to celebrate Swahili and promote it within the UNESCO fraternity in Paris. Kwa hivyo Kenya hatuko nyuma.
Yes.
Ingawaje Tanzania wako mbele because they proposed. Sisi wote tuko pamoja within the East Africa, within the whole of Africa. In fact, Kiswahili is spoken more than 14 countries in Africa. So hizi South Africa, in their university and institution of learning, they are teaching Swahili. So within Africa, this is an African language.
So then it means that there's some serious interest.
There is serious interest.
Yes.
There is serious interest.
Why the interest in Kiswahili?
The key interest, and let me go back a little in 1954, when Mwalimu Julius Nyerere declared that Swahili is very important for communication. Katika ile hali ya kupigania uhuru, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere alisema kwamba Kiswahili tukipatia kipaumbele. We speak in Swahili because it's a unifying language from other different tribes within the country to fight for the independence. And in fact, this is the reason why it was put, the date 7th of July was proposed, because Mwalimu Julius Nyerere declared this on 7th July 1954 in Tanzania. Kwa hivyo Tanzania wako mbele, yes, kwa Kiswahili, tunakubali, lakini pia hatuko nyuma. Tuko pamoja, we are unified, and we work so closely with the Tanzanian National Commission for UNESCO and other national commissions within the East Africa to promote.
Yes.
Na hatuko peke yetu. Kuna idara nyingi na ma-university kadhaa na vyombo vya habari who are really seriously promoting. Kama jana tulianzisha our celebration in Nairobi,
yes, ambazo
zilikuwa ziliendelea pale Bomas, tuko area hiyo ya Bomas. Na kuna wengine already hata Leonard Mambo Botela atakuwa pale, kuna Wala bin Wala, so the program is ongoing. Na tunahimiza hata wale ambao wanafuatilia haya mambo, wamekaribishwa katika hiyo kongamano.
What Hayati Julius Kambarage Nyerere talked about,
yes,
you realize that a majority of Kenyans do not realize that Tanzania has more than 100 ethnic tribes and groups.
Actually 120.
120. Kenya, we are only 47, yes, 45, thereabout. Yeah. But we are able to easily pick Kikuyu, Borana, Kalenjin, Masai, and that. But when you go to Tanzania, the only language they speak is Swahili, a unifying factor.
Yes.
Are we in that position as a country, from your own perspective and around the table as UNESCO, that at some point you wish and you pray that we also have a unifying language as Kenya?
I think we already have a unifying language in Kenya. When the Constitution declares that in Article 7, 1 and 2, that our official languages are Swahili, English, and sign language already. But where Tanzania comes from in terms of their languages might be different from the Kenyan. Since Nyerere declared in 1954 that watumie Kiswahili kama lugha ya kutafuta ile uongozi wa Kiafrika, yani uhuru, independence. So lugha ikakuwa inatumika zaidi. Na Kenya mara nyingi tumetumia Kiingereza, lakini we are online. We are on course to unify the Kenya in terms of culture. But of course, diversity is important, even in tribal diversity. This is key. Lakini katika ile hali ya official languages,
yes,
utumizi wa Kiswahili, hata bunge imekubalika, wanajadiliana wakitumia Kiswahili. Yeah. Lakini perhaps tungependa kueneza na to promote, kupatia kipaumbele Kiswahili. Hivi kwamba kifunzwe shule zote, kifunzwe katika ma-university, na kila mtu aweze kuelewa na kuongea Kiswahili. That way we'll be even more united, because lugha inaleta ile kuelewana, the culture,
yes,
the understanding, togetherness
and unity.
Hata vijana wakiwa mahali unajua wanatumia lugha, of course tunatumia sheng.
But that's the problem I have with us, Daktari. Yes. We're really trying to push Kiswahili, but anytime we have a conversation in, loosely, somebody will say nisaidie na hako kakitu, niko na solution somewhere. Is that the right way to go about it, or the point is we have communicated?
I think the point is, have you communicated? Kuna walimu wa Kiswahili watasema hiyo si Kiswahili sanifu. Kuna wale watatu challenge tu waseme, no, you're not speaking the right Kiswahili. But at the end we are communicating. Now that shows kwamba watu wanataka kuelewa Kiswahili. Na wanataka kujifunza hata kama wakitumia Kiswahili which is broken. Hata mimi Kiswahili sikijui vyema, lakini najaribu. I can try.
The message is home.
And the message is home.
Yes.
You can see we can talk. And kuna wale walimu kama Wala bin Wala for instance, yeye angependa kutumia kile Kiswahili cha ndani, kile cha Ugunja, sijui Kiswahili cha wapi. But nipatie hako kakitu, nipashie hiyo simu, nipatie hiyo kikombe cha chai.
Yes.
You see, but at the end we are communicating. Na tungehimiza, yes, let us use it.
Yeah.
Even sharing ambayo imechanganya na Kiswahili, it's still Swahili. Look at even the other African countries. Congo, for instance, Kiswahili cha Congo, unaweza fikiria it's completely different, but that is Kiswahili.
Yeah.
Ukienda Kiswahili cha Uganda ni tofauti pia. Najua kuna hii joke where the joke people give around that Kiswahili sijui kilianza fuadi kikaanza kupotelea njiani.
Karibu Voi,
and that was it. By the time kinafika kule Ukambani, it's changed.
But then that brings about the issue of culture, and UNESCO is quite pivotal in promoting culture, our image, our identity, and Kenya plays a very pivotal role in that respect. Dr. Let me ask you this question. So,
yes.
Where is the point where UNESCO combines culture and language?
You know, language is part of the culture. And indeed, culture is program number 4. I have said that we have 5 programs that we implement under UNESCO. That is education, natural science, social and human sciences, culture. And Kenya has really embraced culture because it's also recognized in the Constitution.
Yeah.
And it is a devolved function. So Kiswahili becomes very, very critical. And I'm happy that even at county levels, we are celebrating Kiswahili. So the link between a language and culture, it's actually no link. It's one and the same.
Yes.
Because the language is an expression of culture. If you are speaking Maasai and you are from a Maasai culture, you are expressing your culture. And that applies to all tribes in Kenya, whom we appreciate very much. So entrenching that culture is very key for us. And not only locally, in fact, regionally, within the Eastern African community, Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki, and even at the African Union level. And then we go global. So that this Kiswahili goes beyond. And if when Kiswahili is learned in the various universities, certainly one of the units at the university level is the culture of the Swahili people. You have to learn where the language originated and so on and so on. So you are also pushing the agenda of Africa, the culture of Africa. The agenda of Kenya, the agenda of Eastern Africa. Kwa hivyo kueneza kuongea Kiswahili na kuelewa Kiswahili ni muhimu sana.
And that identity is coming out promptly.
Yes, that identity, and this is why we appreciate that UNESCO declared. And of course it's not UNESCO, it's the member state. You know,
which Kenya
these
is
UN bodies, we are a member, we are a state member to UNESCO, just like we are a member to the UN. Out of the 193 countries. And if this was passed in a general conference, it is the decision of all those member states. So if all these member states are accepting that Kiswahili become an important language, why not? In fact, very soon we will push it forward so that it becomes one of the working language at the UN level. As we speak, it is recognized under AU, African Union. It is one of the working language in the conferences and meetings of AU.
Yes, Dr. When you talk about off camera, you said that University of Ghana is also taking Kiswahili so seriously.
Yes.
And Ghana in West Africa, they speak more of Pidgin English, like the Nigerians.
Yes, yes.
But here they are embracing Kiswahili.
They're embracing Kiswahili.
Why? That sounds like an indictment to us as a nation.
It's really wonderful to hear that. In fact, we had the other communication just recently. They were asking for our teams in Kenya to go and participate in a conference, a Swahili conference at the University of Ghana, in Ghana. That is West Africa. And this celebration, see, it's not only in Africa, it's all over the world. Yeah. Don't be surprised that today, or on Friday, a university in Japan will be celebrating that. A university in US will be celebrating. Yeah. And you can imagine a conference, Kongomano, where you are using pure Swahili and you are making presentations to promote Swahili. So University of Ghana, and we must appreciate them. They are participating, and one of the lecturers at the University of Nairobi will be participating. Actually, not only one, quite a number of Kenyans are going there, and Tanzanians in the conference to participate and promote Kiswahili. That is very encouraging.
And how pivotal is UNESCO on Friday? It's a very important day. Happening again, it will happen again and again and again. And of course, you've told me it's happening across the country. Nakuru is celebrating the day. The CS will be in Mombasa. UNESCO and other organization bodies will be at the Bomas of Kenya, if I got it right.
Yes. Actually, already we have started. For us, we are celebrating 4 days as UNESCO, together with the various partners. We have more than 10 or 15 partners in that conference who are financing it and who are participating. And all gurus in Kiswahili are there to speak in it. Not only to have the conference to celebrate, but everything, the function itself, is Kiswahili.
Yes.
I believe even the cocktail will be in Swahili.
and you've given me a question.
There will be Swahili.
How do we call cocktail in Kiswahili? If you're watching, Daktari is here. How do we call cocktail in Kiswahili? That is, I'm going to get that feedback before we write it up. How do you call cocktail in Kiswahili?
That's an interesting question. I would guess. I think we need to put it somewhere in Twitter or somewhere and ask the listeners to tell us.
Mchanganyiko ya vinywaji? No. Please don't tell me that. How do you call cocktail in Kiswahili?
What ya wajogo?
Exactly. Cocktail in kia jogo? No. So the Commission UNESCO is one of the biggest bodies, and Kenya is a member state of UNESCO. When you talk about culture, tourism, wildlife, and language, they fall under the same cluster.
Yes.
How are you going to put it stronger that moving forward in the next 10, 15, or even 100 years to come, Kenya will stand somewhere in the global arena and say, this is where we've come from in celebrating our identity in terms of speaking Kiswahili?
Cultural tourism is very key to Kenya, and I had our very able CS, Penina Malonza, mention it, in cultural tourism. And in cultural tourism, you're also promoting our cultures. And Swahili here, because it's bringing everyone together, it's in the forefront. Of course, there is what tourists want to see. Yeah. Maybe quite often they want to see the Maasai culture. They want to see ABCD Swahili culture in Mombasa, which is very strongly, and in fact in celebration in Mombasa will mainly be about the Swahili culture, as mainly the originators of
really
Swahili.
Core identity.
So exactly. So really, Kiswahili becomes very key here in socio-economic development of our country. And across the boundary, tourism being one of the key areas. And this is why we have actually a ministry by the title Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. In fact, to have the heritage in it, that's add a lot of value. But of course, we have the other one, which also deals with the heritage and culture. And State Department of Culture, which again is linking, especially with the counties, noting that culture is a devolved function.
Absolutely.
So Kiswahili ni lugha muhimu katika kuendelesha uchumi wetu, na kuitumia katika hata mafunzo kisayansi and so on and so on.
Okay.
Yes.
The theme for this year is Kiswahili for peace and prosperity. What rings at the back of your mind with this particular
prosperity? The word prosperity, we are looking at the future. Our vision would be that Kiswahili expands and it is promoted globally. For us, as a National Commission for UNESCO, one thing we would want to see is that Kiswahili becomes one of the perhaps the 7th working language of the UN, where meetings in the UN conference are translated, so that those who can listen or speak Swahili can also get the benefit. Apart from that, you can see other languages are being promoted Other countries promote the Chinese. They are promoting their language. French are promoting their language. Portuguese, which is spoken. Russia, which entered into the UN working language just recently. They are pushing for it. So why not Africa to push Swahili? And we are here, and we are doing it. And I'm sure we'll get there.
Absolutely.
For the future.
Okay. As we wrap it up, the CS will be in Mombasa for the function. UNESCO, chaired by you, and other officials will be at the Bomas of Kenya. What should we expect? And why Bomas?
Well, Bomas is very famous because of the culture. It's one institution that really appreciates culture. For those who have been to Bomas, you have been entertained with cultural dances and so on, promoting our culture, not only Swahili. So having that conference there, that meeting, really a conference is part of the celebration, and in the surrounding hotels there, it's very important. Because it depicts there is a link between Bomas of Kenya and the Swahili culture. So we'll be there discussing, and out of it, maybe kutakuwa na makubaliano that we promote Swahili. For us, we want to see Swahili promoted for posterity. Now, that is the outcome.
Daktari, tunasema tukiendelea zaidi tutaribu. But I ask a question, how do you call cocktail in Kiswahili? Please talk to us on our social media handles at Victor Oloo, at KBC Channel 1, hashtag Good Morning Kenya. We've been talking to Dr. James Njogu, who is the Secretary General and CEO, National Commission for UNESCO. He will be there at the Bomas of Kenya on Friday as we celebrate the World Kiswahili Day. How good is your Kiswahili? Mine is good. Mine is good.
You are trying.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show, Doctor. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
That's where we end Good Morning Kenya on this Wednesday morning. My name is Victor Oloo. We'll take a break. Thereafter, we head to Parliament for that live feed. Good morning. Bye-bye. Asante sana.